They say the cold preserves everything, but in Fortitude, it unleashes horrors that should have stayed buried forever. Here's the entire story of Fortitude in just 14 minutes. Season 1. An elderly photographer, Henry Tyson, is searching the icy surf for a perfect shot. He discovers a man being disemboweled by a polar bear. Henry tries shooting the bear, but accidentally puts a bullet through the man's head instead. Sheriff Dan Anderson arrives immediately after, telling Tyson he'll take responsibility for this mercy killing. Meanwhile, Professor Charlie Stoddart gets approached by Jason Donnelly, who claims he found a mammoth carcass. Jason wants to sell it, but Charlie refuses and threatens to report him for illegally selling scientific discoveries. Young Liam Sutter faints during a walk with friend Carrie Morgan. Frank Sutter, who is supposed to be watching his son, is nowhere around. Liam wakes up alone, opens his bedroom window, and climbs barefoot into the snow. Frostbite sends him straight to the hospital. Vincent Rattray arrives at Stoddart's house for their planned meeting. He finds Stoddart's body, a victim of a savage attack. Forensic officers discover Stoddart is actually still breathing, but he dies on the way to the hospital. Natalie Yelburton mysteriously disappears, making Sheriff Anderson suspect she's either the killer or another victim. Henry makes a call to Britain after learning about Stoddart's murder. DCY Eugene Morton from London. Metropolitan Police arrives to investigate. Anderson isn't happy about Morton's arrival and makes his feelings clear. Dr. Allardyce offers Liam's mother, Julia, an experimental procedure to fight the frostbite effects. The search for Natalie continues while Eric Odegaard points investigators toward Jason Donnelly. They suspect he killed Stoddart after their earlier confrontation. Anderson grows suspicious when he learns Morton left London before Stoddart's murder was even reported. Local teacher Marcus Huseklep seeks Morton's help after a violent confrontation with Frank Sutter. Searching for Natalie and Jason leads the team to an exploration bunker on the glacier. They finally stumble upon a possible murder motive. Governor Hildur discovers Stoddart left a phone message for his wife that could destroy her hotel construction plans. Ciaran Donnelly is found beaten and gagged in his shop's back warehouse. He points fingers at Ronnie Morgan, claiming Morgan demanded boat passage. When Kieran defends himself with a knife, Morgan grabs it with his right hand. Both Morgan and daughter Carrie vanish. Morton interviews Henry Tyson, who denies making the phone call that brought Morton to Fortitude. Eric visits Julia and accidentally discovers Frank's blood-stained shirt in the bathroom. He tries alerting Anderson, but he's out of radio range searching for Morgan's escape boat. Vital evidence gets stolen from Morton's hotel room while he's distracted by an altercation next door, where he finds Anderson savagely beating Frank. Frank denies killing Stoddart during Morton's interview. He claims finding his son covered in blood that night, caused by a ruptured throat swelling. Hildur orders DNA testing to determine if the shirt blood belongs to Stoddart or Liam. Elena reveals she snuck out for sex with Frank, leaving Liam alone. The blood confirms it's Stoddart's, but Frank insists he found Liam covered in it. Anderson discovers blood-stained pajamas hidden in Liam's room, seemingly confirming Frank's story. Ronnie and Carrie camp on the glacier, hiding from police. Flashbacks reveal the shocking truth. Liam left his bedroom that murder night and walked to Stoddart's house. He attacks Stoddart with a chopping board before hiding under the kitchen table when he hears growling. Forensic examination finds Liam's broken fingernail lodged in Stoddart's rib. Dr. Allardyce briefly wakes Liam in his hyperbaric chamber, long enough for him to confirm his presence at the murder scene to Morton. Season 2. Acting Governor Monk has taken over from Hildur, who's struggling with her deteriorating relationship with Eric. Their romance crumbles as Monk's ulterior motives become clear. He didn't become acting governor by accident. Michael Lennox offers Hildur help retrieving communications from Monk's computer that might explain why she got fired. Vladek Klimov arrives in Fortitude to reconnect with his old friend Freya, who happens to be Michael's wife. Freya desperately asks Vladek, a shaman, to heal her from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, the deadly disease slowly killing her. During Natalie and Vincent's field research, Vincent develops hysterical blindness. Eric finally confronts Anderson face-to-face after his miraculous recovery from the wasp incident. Just hours after leaving the hospital, Taverny dies from suspected heart failure. During Bianca Manchio's memorial service, a hooded figure disrupts the mourners by taunting them with Tavrani's severed tongue. Eric and Michael chase this disturbed individual into a mysterious lair where they discover Bianca's missing head hanging from the ceiling in a yellow bag. The killer escapes, but not before Eric shoots him. Hildur finds a suspicious package in her hotel room containing 1942 autopsy footage showing a victim apparently returning to life. Freya tends to Vladek's gunshot wound, revealing he's the man Eric shot. Anderson threatens Dr. Kotry to access the research facility and turn off Elena's life support, but Elena makes an unexpected recovery instead. Ingrid suspects her mother has been hiding Vladek, the suspected murderer. Monk warns bartender Tomak he won't support his activities anymore, exposing their conspiracy and revealing Tomak as Bianca's actual killer. Kotry pressures Monk into redirecting police attention to find Anderson and Elena. Michael tries convincing Natalie and Vincent about full tissue regeneration possibilities, using the evidence in 1942 films. Hildur and Eric confront their feelings, but when Hildur tries exposing Monk's corruption, Eric refuses to believe her. A massive sinkhole appears on the Glacier Highway, yet Monk won't spend town resources fixing it. Petra tracks down Dan, who blackmails Kotry for his release from custody. Hildur challenges Monk to uncover the truth behind her removal as governor, but her trap backfires. Monk kills her instead. Monk covers up Hildur's murder while Freya's health deteriorates further. Michael searches for the weather station from the 1942 video but encounters a lone Russian soldier. Following a heart-to-heart with Vladek, Anderson realizes he's changed and crushes Elena to death. Natalie approaches Monk with evidence of Kotry's corruption, but he refuses to investigate. Eric grows suspicious when Hildur becomes unreachable. News of a body floating in a glacier lake breaks his heart. It's his estranged wife. Two men discover Vladek's shrine cave and get killed. Dr. Kotry warns Anderson about his genetic changes, predicting uncontrollable violence and offering a cure. Michael brings the Russian soldier's body to Vincent, trying to convince Eric that Hildur was murdered. Eric won't listen. Terrified that Natalie knows about tissue regeneration, Monk and Kotry conspire to steal her evidence and poison her. Vladek finds Elena's body and burns it Viking style and forces Anderson to take Musamol in his shrine cave, then reveals the Tupalak. Freya arrives and burns it. Michael and Ingrid discover how Hildur was murdered. Vladek castrates himself, cauterizes the wound, then surrenders to Elena. Anderson locks Petra in a cell, beats Vladek to death, and drags his body into town hall. An extraction team arrives searching for Sheriff Anderson. Vincent discovers Kotry is leaving town and takes drastic action to save poisoned Natalie. Anderson announces to townspeople that Hildur was murdered, naming Monk as her killer. As he lets them carry out their own justice, Michael realizes only he can save Freya. Season 3. 9 weeks after Monk's death, detectives Ingemar Myklebust and Torsten Ubi from Oslo near the end of their investigation. Despite lacking murder evidence, they reopen the case on their final day and begin re-interviewing townspeople. In exchange for testimony, they name schoolteacher Marcus Huseklepp as acting governor. Michael Lennox has descended into alcoholism after wife Freya's death, drunkenly firing his rifle into the street. Police arrest, then release him. Eric continues mourning Hildur, furious he didn't personally avenge her death. Elderly Elsa Schenthal arrives from California with husband Boyd and lover Larry. She has Boyd drain Larry's spinal fluid for a secret medical procedure that rejuvenates her considerably by evening. Natalie, now blinded by the infection, reveals to Vincent she kept one parasitic wasp in cryostasis. She wants to infect herself, attempting to regenerate her sight. Possessed Dan Anderson recovers Dr. Kotry's corpse and research data from crashed helicopter remains, then kills Lars in his hunting cabin. When Myklebust and Obi arrive questioning Lars, Dan shoots them both and arranges the scene to appear like a three-way shootout. Elsa and Boyd discover Dr. Kotry's body, and research have vanished from the crashed helicopter. Dan and Petra enter a sexual relationship, experimenting with his regenerative abilities. After telling Ingrid that Natalie left Fortitude, Vincent finds the preserved wasp and has it infect a restrained Natalie. She breaks his nose when the parasite takes hold. Dan starts hallucinating Hildur while police respond to Lars's cabin shooting. Petra notices Obi is still alive, though he dies shortly after. Dr. Adebimpe doubts Lars was shot as Dan orchestrated it to appear. Marcus arrives on scene, enforcing his new position as governor and chief of police to take control. Elsa seduces Michael and gets him drunk, allowing Boyd to kidnap him. Meeting with Dan, Elsa reveals her company Schenthal Biotech developed other infection victims with regenerative abilities. She's the longest living infected 73 years prior. Most infected victims die within years, but she's prolonged the regenerative process through frequent intake of neuroendocrine cells from human cerebral spinal fluid. Michael releases his restraints using a Swiss Army knife and appears to fatally shoot Boyd before escaping. Hallucinating, Dan confesses to Marcus about killing Lars and the detectives. Orchestrating the crime scene, Marcus seems unconcerned. He later visits Eric, telling him Oslo ended the shooting investigation, and Eric has 48 hours to vacate the governor's residence. Boyd, surviving but fatally wounded, demands Elsa take his spinal fluid instead of saving him. Annie Burgess, Michael Bust's partner, arrives beginning her own investigation using forensic pathology skills. Breaking into the mortuary, she hides as Dan enters, stealing Michael Bust's corpse. Natalie claims the infection's control element passed and demands release. Vincent refuses, remaining unconvinced. When Ingrid doesn't believe his kidnapping story, Michael returns to Elsa's remote cabin with a gun. She disarms him with alcohol, explains surviving on stem cells and spinal fluid, promises to cure his alcoholism. They sleep together and dispose of Boyd's body. Ingrid hears Natalie screaming from Vincent's basement, but he convinces her otherwise after they have sex. Elsa accesses Dr. Cautry's voice notes stating infected people develop severe psychotic delusions and psychiatric breakdown. Michael, Ralphie, and Marcus suffer from such delusions. Elsa discovers Natalie in Vincent's basement. Relocating Natalie to her cabin, Elsa continues experimenting. During dinner at the governor's residence, Dan spikes Marcus's drink with muscimol, then castrates him. Ingrid discovers Vincent's abandoned basement and arrests him. His interrogation by Dan and Eric gets interrupted by Annie Burgess. Annie tells Eric that due to a compound fracture, Michael Bust retrained to shoot left-handed. Yet gunshot residue-stained glove recovered from her death scene was from her right hand. She believes Dan set up the scene and stole Michael Bust's body, questioning his sanity. They raid Dan's residence, finding Michael Bust's body, badly injured Vincent, and a depraved shrine of corpses in the bathroom. Elsa's body deteriorates from scorbutic liquefaction. She believes transfusion with infected Natalie may save her. Instead, Michael drives her to the airport, informs Ingrid of Natalie's location, tells Elsa he plans taking her to a Bergen hospice where she can die peacefully instead of killing more people. Dan breaks into Elsa's cabin, rescuing Natalie, whose eyesight has been restored. However, the parasite remains active. She hits him with a hammer and cuts him open. Police arrive, finding Natalie vomiting larvae into Dan's body, but prevent Petra from shooting her. In the ambulance, dying Dan hallucinates first Hilder, then being handcuffed by Billy Pettigrew to a pylon. As he did to Pettigrew at the series' start, he hallucinates Henry Tyson, who explains shaman folklore: "You must be guided into the next life by someone who loves you." No such person exists for Dan due to his atrocities. On a plane headed for the mainland with Michael, unresponsive Elsa's eyes begin bleeding. What did you find the most interesting about this story? Speaking of incredible stories that deserve the full recap treatment, what show would you love us to break down next?